What's going on, guys? Legit MHX here, back with another Marvel Spider-Man PS4 video. I know I'm late on the new bomb of news that has been dropped. It came suddenly. I'm sorry I'm a bit late, but better late than never. I'm gonna be starting off by looking at the web swing of Spider-Man PS4, and that's gonna be my first video because initially I was gonna do, overview and review of everything the Gameinformer did give us, but Evan Falaka did a perfect video, amazing video, going over all of that stuff in as concise as possible, and so I found it a bit redundant to do the same thing. So instead of doing what Evan did, where Evan roughly went over everything that we know, I advise you to go check that video out, because that's like a crucial video to know every bit of news that has dropped from this Gameinformer drop. That's gonna continue to, we're gonna continue to get a lot of information on the game throughout this entire month, pretty much like every day it feels like. So go check out his video. But what I'm gonna be doing instead is I'm gonna be looking at specific things and sort of going along with Gameinformer and doing the in-depth stuff, because we know a lot more about the game, a lot more. We knew nothing before this. Basically, it feels like we know pretty much everything the game has to offer at this point. And to be honest, we probably won't be begging for that much news after the this Gameinformer month is over, because the game does come out in September 7th. That is something amazing. But anyways, you guys have probably all heard that because you're here already. Let's get into the web swing. It's been completely revamped. And I know this, I'm not saying this like, oh, it looks revamped, so I think it's revamped. I'm pretty sure it is revamped, because last year when we did get the E3 2017 gameplay demo, we saw that the web swing was very different to what it is now. I mean, if what we see now is very different to what we saw then. And also, Insomniac did say that they never released the extended gameplay demo from last year's E3 2017, because it sort of was outdated, and that wasn't the best that they could offer us. Which basically means they improved it, they revamped it, they made it better since then, and clearly we can see that from the gameplay footage that we did get. It wasn't a lot. We got like a 3-minute video breaking down the web swinging. We also got them talking about it within the podcast, Gameinformer's podcast. They talked about it as well, and also I believe just in the general cover trailer thing that Gameinformer first announced it with, we saw a lot of web swinging as well. So there's a handful of things that we now know, heaps of things, and it's very interesting. The web swinging does look a lot better. Not only that, I think it is the best web swinging ever. Like, not even though we haven't got our hands on it, it does look like something that I could spend hours and days on, just web swinging, because it's got the factors that we all enjoy, and I think Insomniac have begun to go forward in nailing it. I don't think it's perfect just yet, and I'll go into that later on, but it is going towards almost perfection. And again, perfection is something hard to strive for. But anyways, let's get into what has changed. Massive change is the animations. Animations was something that was a very big criticism when we first got the E3 2017 demo. Initially, whenever you swung, it was the same swing, and after you finish the swing, you do the same animation where you sort of do that Spider-Man pose where you put your hands up and your legs together, sort of, and it's that same pose that Spider-Man's known for whenever he swings. And it was sort of repetitive, and you could tell that it seemed fun, but eventually it would become laborious and repetitive almost. That has completely changed. There's thousands more animations now. It's almost, it's similar to Web of Shadows. Web of Shadows does come to my mind. A lot of the animations are similar to that. How it was really fluid. How Web of Shadows, the swinging was, and when you'd come out of the swing and go into another swing, it was very fluid. And you can see a lot of that here, but better. You really do see, whether it's different every time, and I feel like they have said it. There's a lot of maths that goes behind. There's a lot of calculation that's constantly happening. If you swing at this point, if you press the button at this point, it's going to do something completely different if you did it 1 second later. There's a lot of that calculation going on behind the scenes, and it's paid off because it looks amazing. The animations look incredible. I think everyone agrees with me on that. The animations do look pretty good. One animation that does look a bit iffy is the dive bomb animation, where if you dive bomb it. Amazing Lucas went over this and he said it perfectly. It's a bit, he sort of starts swinging before he actually shoots out the web and holds on to it. But there's another dive bomb animation that looks amazing, where he dive bombs and it's from TASM 2 basically. He shoots out a web and then he spins around the web, and it looks amazing. It fits really well. That one flows really well. The other one, I don't know what happened there. So it's still not perfect, but again, they can work towards sort of perfecting that. So I've got about 7 things that you can do within web swinging, 7 types of during the actual web swinging process. A lot of things you can do, There's a lot of options. They want it to be something that you're constantly doing something. So there's a lot of buttons that go behind the web swing, and you can do a lot of things, and there's a lot of options given to you, and it's really going to be, you know, unique to you as well. Before I go into these things, you can also upgrade. I mean, I think it was obvious, but it's a confirmed thing now. You can upgrade your web swinging. You can get more faster. You can get more tricks. You can get more different style of web swing. They haven't gone into specifics if there's more like combos and stuff, but when you upgrade, if there's combos and stuff. But we do know that there is a huge upgrade system, and knowing Insomniac, that we've always had really, you know, intricate upgrade systems. So you can imagine that there's going to be a lot of things that are beyond this. You know, this is pretty early within the game, the footage that we've seen. That's the base level swinging, I believe. That's just my opinion. I mean, it's the beginning of the game. Probably is base level. You can probably go much faster than that, which is pretty incredible. You know, speed is something that you can upgrade. They have said that. So basically, let's get into the actual things that you can do. First off, R2 is the swinging button. It's also the sprint button, which we looked at a while ago because it got sort of leaked, sort of. But it's something. It's basically the universal button for web swinging. It's not like TASM 2 where you had L2 and R2. It's just R2. But one thing that did stand out to me was that Peter would swing at different times with like one hand. Sometimes he would get both hands. Sometimes right hand. Sometimes left hand. Sometimes it'd spin around. I don't think that's in your control that much. I think it is just the physics behind it and the positioning you are, where you are. Like, again, there's mathematical calculations that go behind it. If you're, you know, a bit closer to the right building, you put out one hand. If you're going like straight forward, and you know, it's a lot of physics based, you might need to, whatever just makes sense in that scenario. I think they really are perfecting that, which is like the maths and stuff behind it. So it really does look natural, and it does flow, and it doesn't like get interrupted and feel like, you know, break you out of that immersion. So I think they are nailing that with the different hands and stuff, but I don't think that's within your control. I don't think you can choose whether or not you want to swing with both hands or the left hand or the right hand, like you could in TASM 2. But it was a cool feature in TASM 2, but I don't think it was much needed. I don't think it's gonna affect the game too much. So the L2 button, which, you know, you would think would be left hand and R2 would be right hand, L2 has now been changed to slow-mo. I think this was also similar to TASM 2, where you sort of had the Spidey sense sort of thing, where you could like sort of trigger that. I forgot what button it was. You could trigger that and like sort of look around and stuff. But it's basically a slow-mo. I don't know if it goes into first person like TASM 2 did, but basically it triggers a slow motion thing. I think you have to hold it, and you can sort of look around and see where you want to go. So I think this is going to be very good for, you know, trying to get the best momentum going, getting the best track, doing like planning out where you're going to go. Obviously you're not going to use it for every type of move, but if you're like going somewhere and you need to be able to like go up to a building or something that you want to get to there fast, then you can slow it down. You can look around where you want to perch, where you want to zip to, where you want to swing to, and that's probably going to be a really nifty feature. Again, I don't think it's unlimited like they have said. It probably does run out, but it does give you that sort of, it's a cool feature to have, and I think it'll be really cool if we do have sort of like time trial sort of things where where you get to like sort of where you have to do something within a certain time, or it's timed event sort of extra maybe thing, because then, you know, you could have like people like, you know, in the Spider Squad, people could like be, you know, competing against each other to see, you know, who gets the faster time to swing from one place to the other, and I think the slow-mo could help with that. The third thing is the X button, which is sort of, you know, it's got a lot of things. To be honest, I don't even know personally how like what the X button does. You know, besides jumping, I believe it's the jump button. It's mainly during the web swinging. It is the zip button. So you basically, sometimes you'll put out one web and, you know, get some momentum and pull yourself towards whatever you zip to. Other times you'll use both hands and zip to it. Again, that's probably the physics mathematical calculation thing is. You can also use the X button to perch, I believe. So it's like if there's something that you can stand on, you can zip to it and then jump off it again by pressing X or timing it, something like that, and continue getting that momentum, keeping it fluid and keeping it flowing. You can also, you know, as you run up the building, you got to time it perfectly where you zip, and basically it flings you over. So as the momentum going up the building, it gets transferred and flung around the building and goes forward. So you go over the building and continue going straight. And again, you're constantly doing something. That's what I think they iterated a lot in the podcast as well. They want you to constantly be, you know, involved. They want you to be active. They don't want you to be, you know, just watching the game play itself. That's something really important. I think that is very crucial to actually nailing the web swinging, making sure that the player is constantly and consistently engaged with the actual web swinging. Stuff like, you know, when you get above the building, you're not just going to wait for him to fall down. You can actually, you know, zip and pull yourself down and get that momentum and then start swinging again. So that's something really cool, you know. Sometimes, you know, you'd think that if you get to a certain point, you just got to wait, go back down again, maybe dive bomb. You could dive bomb, but if you want to actually be constantly doing something, you can actually zip yourself back down to get that momentum with like gravity and stuff. And it's pretty crazy, you know, the amount of physics that goes behind it, and you got to get that momentum and you go back into a swing to start like going insanely fast, you know. Another thing is that you can use that X button to, I think it's X, but yeah, I believe it's X, or maybe it's circle. It's one of the two, that you actually go fling around a building. So if you're running on a building and you hold X or circle, I forgot which one, I think it was X, but it might be circle, you actually sort of do a 90-degree turn and go around that building. Also, I think if you're just swinging next to a building and you do that, you also do that turn. But again, you don't really need to if you're swinging, only if you're like running across it. Also, apparently, I think it was probably circle then, you can do a 180 turn. They said this in the podcast. They haven't showed any gameplay of it, but apparently if you hold something like X or circle, probably circle, you do a 180 turn. I don't know how that's gonna work, but apparently you can completely turn around and use that momentum to fling yourself backwards and you break your neck, pretty much, something like that. I don't know how that's gonna work, but you can do it, just letting you guys know. The next thing is the dive bomb. So basically this is something we've seen a lot of, and I did talk about a bit before. It's basically you hold the L3 button to trigger the dive bomb, and it's a bit interesting that it's L3, but I think having that sort of there is pretty good, and not having you constantly go into a dive bomb, so it gives you that option once again. And you know, if you get high, you can dive bomb down and get that momentum. Doing the dive bomb will obviously give you a lot of downwards momentum, and then you can do a really fast swing that like you've seen from the actual gameplay, and I should be playing in the video right now. It's pretty cool. The dive bomb actually it looks really realistic. The one dive bomb that does feel like it's a bit clunky, the animations, that's a bit iffy. Still, it looked pretty cool. But the other one where he, you know, gets that one hand and just spins around the web, that looks perfect. Actually, it looks amazing. It's really fluid, really smooth, and I think that's what they should be aiming for, trying to get that where you know, it looks really realistic. And you know, again, they did probably rip it out of TASM 2 because they had the same exact thing, going straight down, getting that forward momentum. And then it's pretty like you'd think that would happen, where you know, swing and then you're like sort of spin around the web, but you still know your direction and you constantly keep going. And it's that tiny detail that just makes that web swing feel so much more alive and not repetitive, and keeps you keep wanting to do it. Before, you know, they've confirmed fast travel. I don't think there's really a point of fast travel at this stage. Maybe before, you know, if it was the E3 2017 demo, eventually that web swing might have gotten a bit repetitive and boring, so you might be like, oh, I just want to get to the other mission, let me just use fast travel. I don't think I'll be using fast travel much, because this does look really fun, and there's upgrades as well. So you know, I really do think that you're going to be wanting to web swing more, and I think they are actually doing quite a good job. In terms of the dive bomb, again, there are a few things that they could fix up, especially with the dive bomb, but in particular, it's looking pretty good, and dive bomb will give you more momentum, and it'll be, you know, it's sort of like an arsenal of different things you can do to swing. It's not just the traditional just pressing R2 and just doing swings and stuff and going around. You've got a lot more options here, and it does feel a lot more like player involved. You know, a lot of people are scared that the game's just going to be playing itself, because, you know, how much player involvement can you get? But I mean, looking at this, there's like so many buttons that you can do, and there's even more. I forgot, they said there was a combination button. You use like L2 and L3 and X. There's a lot of buttons that you combine, and it can do a lot of things. Again, we'll have to just see how that works, and again, it's probably going to be in the upgrades, but these are the basic core things, and then you can probably do combos with them and do some cool things. So the last thing that we do have, and we've already seen a bit of it, but we've seen more of it, is the web tunnel. So this just puts sort of that fluidity going. You know, if you've got something that's cool that you can sort of zip through, like we see like this sort of construction crane thing that he zips through that, or, you know, previously there'd be like the option to, I think it's L2 R2 to like pull yourself forward and just go through it, and it just makes you look. It just gives style, you know. It's plainly for style and aesthetics. It's nothing amazing in terms of your gameplay. It just makes it look better and makes it more fun to do. Now, last thing isn't really a sort of aspect of web swinging, I guess, but it's really cool. I really thought it was really cool how they did this. Was the animation of sort of if you're on the ground and you want to start and go into a web swing. It's not like that sort of clunky thing where you sort of have to jump and get a little bit of momentum and then just keep going. You literally like web up and like fling yourself upwards, and Spider-Man does this like cool flip and everything, goes on the web and then just uses all that force to like get himself up, and then you go into web swing. It looks really cool and it looks really fluid. I don't know how much of it is actually player controlled, if you have to like spam R2 or something and X, or if you just hold R2 and it will just do that animation. But that looked really smooth, and that was something that was just like, wow, you know. You just look at it for a second and you're just thinking how much changed, you know. It does look a lot different from E3 2017 in my opinion, and that's why I believe it's complete revamp of the Spider-Man swinging. Initially, you know, a lot of people did believe that it was going to beat Spider-Man 2. I think now it settles it. It is going to be one of the best web swinging within any Spider-Man game, and there's still a lot to go. They are in the polishing stage. They have confirmed that they're working on polishing the game. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's finished. They are tweaking stuff. They're making stuff better. The core of the game is finished. I mean, they've given it a release date. They're confident, but they'll just be polishing, making it better, tweaking, make sure everything's perfect. So that's that. So anyways, guys, hope you guys did enjoy this video. It was a long one. I didn't expect it to be this long, but that's all of web swinging pretty much. There's heaps more to know about web swinging. This isn't all of it. There's gonna be heaps of upgrades and combinations, stuff like that. But this is pretty much all we've gotten, and it's a lot. We've gotten a lot, and I'll be going through a lot more stuff. You know, we haven't gotten much in combat, but I'm sure we'll get that soon enough. This was amazing. I hope you guys did enjoy. A lot of the videos were playing in the background, so hopefully you can had a look at the stuff I was talking about as well. But anyways, guys, make sure that you stay up to date by going to Gameinformer, Twitter, all that stuff, or just subscribe to my channel and Evan's channel and all the Spidey Squad's channel, and we'll keep you guys up to date. I will try my best not to be inactive or anything like that. It's just, it was a really bad time when this news dropped for me, and I wasn't able to make a video straight away, but I was able to make this. So anyway, guys, I don't want to waste your time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed and are excited for Spider-Man Web Swinging. And this was once again Legit MHX signing out.